Hello, welcome to March 22nd, 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation. This is an exercise that I do every morning, a little bit after waking up. It's now 5:31 a.m. I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use the time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the challenges and the opportunities that I met. Also, sometimes I just note particular events or circumstances of mind, circumstances of body that are landmarks, interesting landmarks, or noteworthy along the way, like a sailing ship on a voyage, like thinking of Odysseus, passing along the shoreline, hugging the coast of the Mediterranean, looking at the sights, noting the sights in passing. That's how it feels sometimes living this deliberated life. That's a way to describe it. Making these videos is more than just noting a journal entry. It's a very rarefied feeling of like surfacing as a swimmer, swimming beneath the surface and coming up for air every 24 hours. Looking around, gaining my bearing, and plunging back down to go continue swimming a little further underwater. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, I'm Kurt. I'm a 60-year-old retired man living in Japan, married to a 60-year-old retired woman, Japanese woman living in Japan. We have between us a 24-year-old hardworking daughter starting her career in Tokyo. This video is on an entry in my daily journal called The Good Life. Well, The Good Life is the name of the creed that I use to try to live a good life. It's a nod to the Stoics, but I'm not saying that I'm not proclaiming to the world that this is the good life, champagne dreams and caviar. This is my effort to live a good life, where good is not defined as excess or luxury, but good is a life lived in the pursuit of virtue, where virtue is defined as decisions and actions that help to further the well-being of creatures, in particular thinking creatures, those who can suffer. So if you haven't figured it out, well, that's a weird way to say it. If by now you probably realized 2.5 minutes, almost 3 minutes in, that this video is not a lot about Japan. Even though I'm in Japan, here's a Japanese convenience store. It's a mini stop. I don't talk about Japan much in this video, other than the fact that it may factor into the stories and anecdotes that I share. So if you're here, if you're interested in seeing my journal entry, you're welcome to join and watch and leave comments, although I don't read or answer comments until I'm done. Okay, and I do want to warn you, though, that I do sometimes talk about subjects that are sensitive to people, such as death. I get cards and letters from people telling me they're unsettled by my talk of death. So just know that I will likely talk about that. Just let you know in case you don't want to hear that thought. Finally, welcome to my new YouTube subscribers. Good gosh, there's a lot of you. Yesterday was astonishing. So many new people joining the channel. Welcome, hi. I'm glad you're here. And I do want to thank you for your patronage, literally, watching my videos. And this is where I say thank you for your support, because you watching my videos and my YouTube members, and particularly my Patreon supporters, literally fuel my endeavors here. You guys bought me this latte, this sugar-free latte this morning, and I do appreciate it deeply. Thank you. As a retired man living on a fixed income, I try to fund my YouTube endeavors, not from the family budget, but from my YouTube budget, and you guys make that possible. Thank you. Okay, with all that said, now I'm going to the meat of the thing, almost 5 minutes in. But I think it's important that I do this these days, that I spend this time doing this up front, because there's so many new subscribers. If you're tuning into this, you're like, what's going on here? I thought this was the retired in Japan guy. I am that guy. Those seem to be the videos that are drawing the new subscribers in. I am that guy. But these series, the Good Life series, the videos that have my face on the cover, and then the title says Good Life, this is my personal journal. that I do publicly. And what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get to it now, is three things. I'm going to talk about the last 24 hours and how I did with the challenges and opportunities that I met, or maybe relate anecdotes and stories that are of interest to me, because it's my journal. Two, I'll relate the 8 objectives of my creed without going into too much detail, just touching them so that it aligns me with my North Star, as I like to say. And then I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do today. The one thing that I'm going to do today, because contrary to my expectations going into retirement, where I thought I would have all the free time in the world to do as many things as I want every day, I'm busier than I've ever been, and I'm lucky if I get one decided thing done each day. I never realized how work was the sheltered environment of work walled out the rest of the world and allowed me, I was a very productive employee all my career, and I now see that it was because work walled off the rest of the world and allowed me to get 5, 6, 10 things, deliberate things done every day in a very productive and efficient manner. Now that though I no longer live in that sheltered work environment, the world imposes itself upon me and necessities that I didn't expect. That it's like living outdoors now. You know, the rain comes, the sun burns, the wild animals are roaming around. That's what being retired is like. You know, working was like being in a nice, well, sheltered environment where all of those external things weren't happening. It's a very, very different, and this is an appropriate use of the word, paradigm. So, I sometimes I'll tell stories about what that's like, because that's incredibly interesting to me. It's my journal after all. So here we go. Beginning with the last 24 hours, and I keep notes every day, and I refer to the notes as I go through the day. I write down more notes as I go through the day. This is what helps me to, when I reflect back on the last 24 hours, I've kept notes through the day about what happened that was of interesting and noteworthy. Lifelong habit. It served me well. Okay, the last 24 hours. Two things, I've got 2 notes here that are interesting. The first reads, Quiet Self at YouTube Meetup, and the second one says, Hid Myself Away. Now let me explain what both of those mean. Yesterday I had my first meetup of YouTube viewers, and excuse me, one of them was even a Patreon supporter. Thank you very much for being my supporter. I appreciate that. And normally I don't go into and I will not go into details about those. It was two gentlemen met me. They're okay with me telling me their names, Stuart and Gary, and I had a wonderful time. One of the best YouTube meetups I've ever had, and I've done a number of these back in the day. When I was softypapa 1.0, I would get invited to these things, or I hosted a couple myself even. And this gets to the meat of the matter. I noticed 2 things in it. One, it was a small group, and I got really lucky that these were 2 really interesting gentlemen. Because you never know what you're going to wind up in when you go to these things, right? Because for the most part, I don't know these people. And humans are humans, right? You put a group of people in a room together, and it's a mixed bag. I really enjoyed the meetup yesterday, and I look forward to seeing both of them again. That's not the point of the observation that I want to make. What I wrote here was Quiet Self at YouTube Meetup. I found myself being a different type of host yesterday than ever at any such meetup or any event before, any social event before. In the past, I'm a type A personality. I'm very outgoing. I'm the kind of person that likes to keep things moving. I'm a project manager. It's my job to be, when I worked during my working life, nearly every meeting that I ever attended, I led the meeting. It was my job to prepare the meeting, minutes, prepare the meeting agenda, run the meeting, execute the meeting, take notes, and then send out the minutes, and then make sure everything followed up. That's what kept me so busy for the last, for however many years as a project manager. I'm used to also doing that kind of same thing at social meetups as well. Not because it's my job, but just because it's my personality. So I'm the guy that like keeps things moving. Now yesterday was helped by the fact that the two gentlemen I were with needed no such social fuel. They're quite capable of doing it themselves. But even more so than that, I noticed that it wasn't that I wasn't talkative. It's just that I was very reserved. I was very at peace. And it wasn't the kind of peace that came from the fact that I was with pleasant company. It was a different type of peace, and I can only really attribute it to getting older. And there's also, I don't think I've ever talked about this on any of my videos, but I'll mention it now. There's a deep and abiding satisfaction at this stage of life. When I go over the creed, I'll ask myself, am I ready to die? And that has three questions. Are my affairs in order? Are my relationships sound? And is my life's work complete? And the answer is a resounding yes to all three of those. That being the case, there's nothing left for me to pursue necessarily other than activities that are the furtherance of my life endeavors to date, the decided life purpose. So anything that I do at this point is the proverbial icing on the cake. It doesn't mean I'm not ambitious. It doesn't mean I'm not committed or don't have objectives or goals. It just means that the sense of urgency to get them done is complete. My daughter is raised, my career is finished, my book is written. Everything now is just kind of like, a bonus. And it really felt like that yesterday. And I noticed this as I was sitting there talking to the gentleman. I took out my notebook and wrote these words down: quiet self at the YouTube meetup. I was very pleasantly surprised to see the at peace person that I was in that environment, where normally, even with pleasant company, I would be a little bit on edge to make sure that everything goes well, right? Kind of micromanaging the circumstance. And that guy didn't show up yesterday. And I'm noticing that he's not showing up almost anywhere anymore. Going out with the family, tackling tricky problems even. There's far more at peace. Maybe it's because I'm 60, but I think actually it's because I've completed so much of what I wanted to do in life. What need of restlessness when you're done, right? Okay, now the second note here was hid myself away. Now that sounds a little ominous. If you look at my face, my hangdog face and my eyes, I'm suffering greatly from allergies. My wife got me some medicine that really works, but I keep forgetting to take it. It's sitting on my counter and I'm supposed to take it before I go to bed, and I keep forgetting. I told Yumiko that I would put the medicine on my pillow so I can't forget it anymore. And I forgot to do that. So that's okay. I don't care. I really, really, really didn't bother me. Because it doesn't really impact anybody. I mean, it's just me. So I'm sure my wife has to look at this, right? So that's true. So anyway, hid myself away. What I'm saying about that is, after the outing with the gentleman yesterday, where I was out and about without a mask most of the day, midday, I left the house at around 9 a.m. and wasn't back until like 3 o'clock. I was wiped. And I took the dogs out for a walk because Yumiko wasn't feeling good. And so I took the dogs out for a walk, which further compounded things. And when I got back, I tidied up the dogs, and I told Yumiko, I said, hashtag limits. If I say hashtag and a word like limits or homunculus or Anchorhold, I'm referring to principles in my book, Going Alone. Hashtag limits. I recognized, using hashtag reason, that I had achieved my limits of viability and I couldn't be spending. I was useless to the world at that point. And so I told her, I knew that since she wasn't feeling good, we were going to get takeout for dinner, and I was going to go out and get it. So I said, Yumiko, the dogs are all taken care of. I'm going upstairs to my room. I call it my room, but it's not like I live in that room. It's like my office, right? Our house we have a master bedroom, and then Yumiko and I each have a room, and then there's the living room downstairs. Our little dog, our little white dog, Rudy, is rather aggressive with anybody but me. So to protect basically Yumiko from him, unless we're having dinner or watching a movie together or doing other things, I tend to hang out in my room upstairs with little Rudy, just to kind of, keep some distance. So I said, Yumiko, I'll be up in my room. And also my room, I have a nice air conditioning and that, air filtration system out there. Yumiko doesn't suffer from allergies. So I'd go up there, turn the air filtration system on max, seal everything up. I've got that great sofa, and I just lay down. It's great. It's like every man cave I could have ever hoped for. I'm not a guy who really ever wanted a man cave, and I didn't want a room of my own when I came to Japan, but I got one, and boy, did I love it. And I went up. So here's the thing. This is not about that. This is I recognized in the moment that I was ruined due to the allergies. That spent so much time outside. I wasn't going to be making any more clips for the Retiring in Japan series. And I told Yumiko, I'm going upstairs to hide away from the world. I went upstairs with my dog, turned on the air filtration system at max, laid down on the sofa, and watched Netflix, which I rarely ever do. I watched Netflix for an incredibly long time. It must have been 45 minutes of solid 45 minutes of Netflix before I fell asleep. And that's a long time for me. I can never ever sit through a single movie. If I want to watch a movie on Netflix, it takes me 2 weeks to watch the movie, because in small 10-15 minute chunks. It's just the way I am, and I like it that way. I like that I'm not a person who sits and watches TV. I have kind of a visceral feeling about that, like a colossal waste of time. And I know that a lot of people enjoy watching TV, and I'm glad for you that you were able to enjoy that. For me, if I'm lucky enough to sit on my deathbed and recall my life, I hope that there are very few. I will not be recalling or recounting or being pleased with the time that I spent watching TV. So enough of that. That's my personal position on that. But I enjoyed it yesterday, because I was wiped out, and then I took a nap, and then I got up, and I went out and got dinner, and then I came back, I took a shower, and went to bed. And so the reason I'm making note of that was that I managed that situation well. In the past, I would have ignored the fact that I was being drugged down by allergies, and I would have struggled to get on with the day, maybe going outside to do some gardening, making the situation worse, wearing my body out more. And I would always get into a situation where I've done too much, went over the top, should have known my limits, and stopped. And that's not what happened yesterday. I saw I had reached my limits. I hashtag social principle. I communicated to my wife, I'm ruined, I'm going upstairs to hide, and it worked. And then that filtration system seemed to really clean up the air, and I felt good after a while. And I went out and got dinner, came home, took a bath, and went to bed. And I feel so-so today, because I forgot the medicine again. So in terms of, I always give myself stars, and they're always positive. I don't give myself negative stars. I just give myself fewer stars, because I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So in terms of hiding myself away, that was it feels like a 5-star, because I think I handled every bit of it well. But I'm not going to give myself 5 stars. I'm going to give myself 3 stars, because a better way to handle it would have been, 1, to have put my mask on in public more often, and 2, taken the damn medicine the night before. So I get 3 stars on that one. The quiet self on the YouTube meetup, that's nothing related to a situation that I had to handle, so there's no stars for that one. So I'm going to give myself, in terms of challenges recognized and met, I'm going to give myself 3 stars. So every day, and when I do that, I reflect back on the previous day, and I give that day a star rating. And And I can look back in time and see how I was doing day by day. Am I improving? Am I getting better at living my life? Now, with that, let's go over the creed, which consists of 8 objectives as follows. The first of these I already mentioned, to be always ready to die, which means, as I said before, to have my affairs in order, my relationships sound, and my life's work complete. And they are. 2, to make good and effective use of time, not to waste my days. Hashtag not watching TV. 3, I shouldn't say hashtag, it's not a principle. It's just a bias. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, which is namely my creed. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions relative to the creed. 6, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities so I know where the lane lines are that I can drive in. 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully. And 8, to keep my balance at all times. Now let me check something live while we do this. Get my wallet out of my pocket. The last thing I'm going to do today, before I answer read comments, is talk about my plan for today. And I have to see, and there it is right there. Is that it? Hold on. I met somebody the other day, and he invited me over to his house today, and I'm going to go. There it is. Yep. Excuse me. I met a gentleman the other day, maybe 5 years older than me, semi-retired. And I'm starting to pick out sometimes a lot of, I couldn't figure out sometimes why so many older people, when I was living here before, would engage with me and like invite me over to their house and do stuff and that and the other. Now I'm starting to see that it's because a lot of older people, retired people and semi-retired people, have nothing to do. They're lonely and they want a friend. I don't know if that's the case with this one. It might be. But one of the things that I liked was we had a nice and interesting, engaging thing. And he doesn't speak any English. So I like having friends that don't speak English. And he doesn't even try. So it's not like, and I don't mind people. I don't mind Japanese people that want to practice their English with me. It's just that I want to practice my Japanese. So I like meeting people who can't speak or don't want to speak English, because then that leaves me no choice. I have to speak Japanese. So he invited me over to his house. And I'm going to go over to his house today, this morning at 10 o'clock. So probably I expect today to be kind of a repeat of yesterday. I don't know what to expect when I get to the house. I got a little gift to give him. I'll take it. I'll see where it goes. I'm imagining it'll be just a morning of pleasantries. I chose 10 o'clock deliberately so that I can feign the reality of lunch to go home. And we'll see how it goes. You never know what you get with these things sometimes. You could get an axe murderer. That happened once in my life, believe it or not. Twice, actually. I'll tell you this story someday, but not now. Or you could get, because I have, all my life, I've had a tendency to go to strangers' houses. And twice that went really bad twice. Most of the time, though, it goes very well. And I expect that'll be an interesting thing. A repeat of yesterday. Will that quiet myself approach, able to sit there and peaceably talk to this gentleman, not uncomfortable at the silent moments, or struggling to fill the void with my broken Japanese. I hope that guy appears. I'm going to try to make it so he appears. He surprised me yesterday when he appeared, so that was good. And then I'll probably be wiped out because I imagine allergies, so I forgot my medicine. I'm not going to be wearing my mask. Today's going to be a repeat of yesterday. That's that. Okay, with that, let's read comments, and then I'm going to call this a day. Bro, sup, Gramps? Still going strong. Well, I was going stronger, but now the allergies have really got to me. Are you left-handed or is the camera inverted? It's probably inverted. I'm right-handed. Hi, Kurt. Hi, Robert. KG, just ordered your book, Going Alone, from Amazon. Looking forward to reading it. Thank you very much, KG. I really do appreciate your support. That's really nice. Let me know if you have any questions. You can reach me at dinnerbytheriver@gmail.com. And then Act 98006, hello Act. If the fellow does not speak English, given your Japanese level, how will you communicate? Very difficultly. And that's always the interesting challenge. And sometimes these things go very poorly. I do know that if we apply alcohol to the situation, it lubricates the conversation, but it's too early in the morning for that. So I imagine that probably we'll just struggle, and that's okay. I don't mind that. Okay, well, guys, I'm going to finish for now. Thank you for joining me. KG, thank you very much for ordering my book. I really, truly appreciate that. Are you, are you going to take Japanese lessons? No. I am what I am at this point, and I'm just gonna live the rest of my life here as is. Do you like sake or Japanese beer? I prefer Japanese beer, KG. Okay, take care, everybody. Have a great day. Be safe, but not too safe.